Life has a cruel way of testing us when we least expect it. Sometimes it feels like the entire universe is conspiring against us, tearing apart every plan we carefully laid out. You see others winning effortlessly while you struggle just to breathe through the storm. But what if those storms weren't meant to break you, but to shape you? What if every unfair blow was secretly building your strength for something greater? This is the story of Arjun, a man who thought life had abandoned him, until he discovered the truth hidden in the harshest winds of fate. Arjun had always believed in fairness. He worked hard, kept his head down, and respected everyone. Life, he thought, was a simple equation: good actions lead to good results. But life had other plans. It began with a sudden layoff. After 10 years of loyalty to his company, Arjun was let go without warning. Coast cutting, they said, as if those two words could erase a decade of sweat and sleepless nights. He walked out of the office with a cardboard box filled with his belongings, his heart heavier than the weight in his hands. The layoff alone might have been survivable, but fate wasn't done. His father fell ill a week later, requiring expensive treatment. Then his landlord served an eviction notice because Arjun was late on rent. It was as if the ground beneath him had split wide open, swallowing every bit of stability he had. He sat alone in his tiny kitchen that night, staring at the flickering bulb above. His mind screamed questions into the silence. Why me? What did I do wrong? Scrolling through social media made it worse. Friends were celebrating promotions, vacations, and new houses while he sat there counting coins for milk. The comparison clawed at his soul. For the first time, Arjun felt anger, not at others, but at life itself. The days turned into weeks, and every rejection email added another crack to his spirit. He tried smiling in front of his family, pretending things were fine, but inside he was drowning. Every morning he woke up hoping for a miracle, only to find another storm waiting outside his door. And then, one evening, as rain poured outside, Arjun whispered to himself, "Life isn't fair." It wasn't a complaint anymore. It was a fact he had accepted. But what he didn't know was that this acceptance was the first step toward something he couldn't yet see. Arjun decided to fight, but the battle was uphill. He applied for every job he could find, dozens every day, but rejections kept piling up like a cruel joke. His savings had vanished. His father's treatment bills were a constant reminder that time was running out. One morning, with nothing left to lose, Arjun took up a temporary job at a roadside tea stall. It wasn't what he imagined for himself, but at least it kept his family fed. Standing behind that counter, wiping cups and serving strangers, he felt invisible. People who once shook his hand in boardrooms now crossed the street without a glance. Every night after the stall closed, Arjun would sit on the empty bench nearby, drenched in exhaustion. But in those quiet hours, something began to shift. The storms hadn't stopped, but he was learning to stand in the rain without breaking. One evening, an old man approached the stall. He wore a faded kurta and carried a bag of books. After ordering his tea, he smiled and said, "You look like someone fighting a big battle." Arjun chuckled bitterly. "More like losing one." The man sipped his tea and replied, "You only lose when you stop fighting. The storm isn't here to drown you. It's here to teach you how to sail." Those words stayed with Arjun. He began to see the stall not as a failure, but as a classroom. He learned patience when customers shouted for faster service. He learned humility when he wiped tables. And he learned resilience when he woke up every day despite wanting to give up. Weeks later, Arjun started reading books during breaks. Business, leadership, anything he could borrow. He was no longer just surviving, he was preparing. Deep down, he knew something was changing. One night, a young man in a crisp suit stopped by the stall. He ordered tea, pulled out his phone, and complained loudly about his company's logistics problem. Arjun listened quietly, his mind sparking with ideas. Logistics had been his area of expertise for years. As the man hung up, Arjun spoke, "Have you tried decentralizing your supply points instead of expanding the main hub?" The man stared at him. "How do you know about that?" Arjun smiled. 10 years in supply chain management teaches you a few things." Intrigued, the man asked more questions. Arjun answered with confidence, outlining practical solutions. Before leaving, the man handed him a card. "Come see me tomorrow. We might need someone like you." Arjun didn't sleep that night. The next day, he walked into a sleek office, not as a tea seller, but as a consultant. Within months, he became a permanent employee and later a partner in the firm. Looking back, Arjun realized something profound. The stall hadn't ruined him, it had rebuilt him. Those months taught him more about persistence and humility than any office job ever could. The unfairness he once cursed had forged a version of him that was unbreakable. Years later, Arjun stood on a stage, addressing a hall full of young professionals. He shared his story, the layoff, the tea stall, the comeback. There was silence in the room as he said, "Life isn't fair. It never was, and it never will be. But that's not the point. The point is, when life feels unfair, don't waste energy fighting the storm. Learn to sail in it." He told them about the nights he wanted to quit, the shame of serving tea after wearing suits, and the voice inside that kept whispering, "Keep going. Storms don't come to destroy you," he said, his voice steady. "They come to strip away the things that hold you back and reveal what you're truly made of." The audience erupted in applause. People came forward with tears in their eyes, thanking him for reminding them that pain wasn't permanent. Later that evening, Arjun sat alone, watching the sunset. Life still had its challenges, but he faced them differently now. He no longer asked, "Why me?" Instead, he asked, "What is this teaching me?" Because he had learned the truth: the universe doesn't play favorites. But if you refuse to break, if you refuse to let bitterness win, life will eventually bow to your resilience. And that is how Arjun, the man who once thought the world was against him, became living proof that even the cruelest storm carries a gift, if you're willing to find it.